caste segregation in India is a very serious problem. To solve this, India has done two things. The first one is writing the new constitution and prescribing the positive discrimination. The new constitution was largely written by B.R. Ambedkar and a Dalit intellectual, and it declared that all citizens are equal before the law. And it abolished untouchability and made the Hindu practice a punishable offense. It also prescribed the positive discrimination. It means that there are certain quotas in the legislative bodies, in state schools, and in government service for low-caste people. And circumstances for Dalits have indeed improved. Three generations of quotas have created a low caste bourgeoisie, and the ritual shunning of Dalits has largely faded. But the discrimination against Dalits has not disappeared. Has not disappeared. For example, there are still many news stories that tell of higher caste people maiming, murdering, or raping Dalits for such slights as daring to wear a mustache, or daring to wear a mustache, or ride a horse, or worst of all, woo someone out of their station. For instance, there is a young man from Dalit caste who appeared in a viral video last year. In the video, two men from landowning Jat caste force him to pull down his trousers and then beat him with a heavy stick because he refused to work the land or look after the cows, as he has found a job in a factory making smartphone screens. And the discrimination against Dalits is not limited to Hindus. Among 20 million India's Catholics, almost 65% are former Dalits, whose ancestors converted to escape caste oppression. But out of 27,000 priests in the Indian church, only 5% are Dalits, and not a single one of the 6 cardinals and 30 archbishops are Dalit. Moreover, India's among India's 14% Muslim minority, a similar unspoken distinction persists. There is a separation. There is a distinction between families that converted to Muslim in the distant past or who are associated with ruling Muslim dynasties, and families who converted as a way of escaping their previous presumably lowly caste status. And it's not just the more serious problem is that it's not just Dalits who are underrepresented, but also but also 40 to 50% Hindus that come from the widest tier of the caste pyramid. Because in the government or in all, as well as in the private sector, the highest positions remain a near monopoly for the three top tiers of the pyramid or varnas. In this group, there are the Brahmins or priestly class, the Kshatriyas or warrior class, and the Vaishyas, or merchant class. These groups account for almost 20% of India's 1.3 billion people. And in the central government, almost most of the high-ranked civil servants are from this high cost. For example, 2/3 of his Supreme Court judges and almost half of all state governors are high cost people. And when the Home Ministry recently formed a panel to revise the criminal code, 5 experts were all men, all from North India, and all from high caste. The trend is similar in the private sector. There is a study published last year of the mainstream Hindi and English press, and it revealed that out of 121 people in senior jobs, such as editors, all but 15 were from high costs, and not a single one was a Dalit. The second solution to caste bias was demographic change. It was hoped that as people moved from villages to cities, that it was as people move from villages to cities, and as people are often obliged by circumstance to share the same words, it was hoped that caste rigidities would soften. But it turns out that it is not working. For example, statistics have shown that intermarriage between castes remain rare. Only 6% of all couples at the most recent count. And there was an analysis of housing by a team led by Navin Bharati of Harvard University. And the team found that there is a persistence of segregation by caste, and in some cases an intensification of the discrimination. For example, the team found that in Ahmedabad, the biggest city in Gujarat, 60% of blocks house not a single Dalit, while some 80% Dalits lived in just 10% of the city. The team concluded that the segregation by caste in Indian cities is comparable to that by race in American ones. Mr. Bharati says that there is progress. He says that um, castes are dissolving, but it is not the big groups between castes. It is the subcastes that are dissolving. As people move from villages to cities, there is less association between family names and traditional professions. So there is less of a taboo around marrying into adjacent subcastes. So it is a good thing, but he also points out that meanwhile class differences are growing stronger. He says if you zoom in on a Dalit slum, you'll find that Dalits of higher status don't intermix with poor Dalits living right next door. So it seems that the new constitution written by Ambedkar and positive discrimination and huge demographic shifts are not working to solve India's caste segregation.